Guys, we have a really special opportunity right now to hear from one of my friends and one of the greats. Someone say greats. Richmond D is in the building today and has flown here all the way from Australia. And he has graced the stage, obviously, at Funnel Hacking Live. If you haven't heard Richmond, if you don't have the pleasure of hearing Richmond teach before, you're about to get your mind blown. So are you ready? Say ready. Ready. Richmond D is a 7-figure entrepreneur who's helped made over $20 million online and has helped coaches get clients through a revolutionary Tiny Challenge framework. He's the creator and founder of the Tiny Challenge model and the founder of the Underdog movement. I always love that. He's a published author of 2 books, The Footprints of Success, and just recently, Tiny Challenge. So good, Richmond. And he shared the stage with Russell Brunson, Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, Pedro Adeo, Brendan Burchard, and he's been a headline speaker at Funnel Hacking Live. More than that, he is a devoted husband to his wife, Penny, and a proud father to 3 beautiful daughters. Black Card, will you stand on your feet? Express your appreciation for Richmond traveling all this way, and welcome to the stage, none other than Richmond D, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Wow. Thank you. I was gonna open with a story, but I thought maybe I should teach something. It's like, oh no, I've got nothing to teach. I really thank you for a warm welcome. I know this is the first time I met you guys, but I feel like this is family. It's big credit to Eileen for creating such a good community and such a loving community too. So, and congratulations to our award winners too. It's so cool. I remember the first time, because I used to be an optometrist 8 years ago. I was in a room 2x3 for 10 years testing eyes, one or two, which is clear. That was me for 10 years. So everything that I achieved up here, I believe you can do because I did it and I had to learn everything. So everything's learnable as long as you're willing, And so I remember my first client as well and my first high ticket, my first 25K day, my first 100K. And all those milestones are something to be cherished and you don't get that milestone again. So just massive congratulations to the winners up here. So thank you for that. Yeah, why not? Give it up for you guys again. Yeah. So today I want to kind of talk about how to go big by just mastering being small. Is that cool? Yes. Yep. And that's really the key. Like if you just do the small things well, again and again and again and again and again, then you will naturally go big. Success is unavoidable. And that's how the Tiny Challenge framework came about. And I want to share with you on that, but then how you can apply it to masterclasses, because I believe you guys are doing masterclasses. I've done about 75 to almost 80 group challenges now. I've done probably close to 200 masterclasses, done more masterclasses than challenges, and I love doing both. I don't think there's one better than the other. I believe Eileen does both as well. Russell does both. So both have their use. And I want to talk to you about a Tiny Challenge, but also for yourself, just see how it's relevant to you and how you can apply it to a masterclass, because I think there's some great parallels there on how to start small so you can grow big. I'll talk about how to do how to scale one-on-one coaching. You'll be surprised. Everybody here probably thinks you cannot scale one-on-one coaching. And since coaching was started, it was like, you can never scale one-on-one coaching. How could you? But now there is a way, and you're going to be blown away by that. And the terminology is called a shadow seating, which was kind of invented and in the room a couple of months ago. I didn't have a name for it. And then Eileen came up to me and said, that shadow seating thing's so cool that you do. I was like, oh, that's a good name. So now I call it shadow seating. And then I will share with you guys on how in the last couple of months, I personally sold my first 100K offer, and then it became the second, and then it became the third, and now it's just something really surreal, and some of the mindset shifts I had to have, because I had the same limiting beliefs as, it's funny, you have the same limiting beliefs as selling a 1K offer when you haven't sold a 1K offer to the 100K offer. It's just the same limiting beliefs, but just a different number. And I'll share some tips around that. Would that be useful? Yes, cool. All right, so it was about 4 years ago where I wanted to run a challenge, because challenges became a really big thing back then. I thought, wow, because I was doing so many masterclasses and webinars, I thought, let's just try and mix it up with a challenge. And the biggest problem was, which is the same thing as a webinar or masterclass, is how do you fill it up? How do you market it? What time should you run it? What if no one shows up? Worst thing is, what if one person shows up? And that's so embarrassing. And I was really frozen for a long time with the first challenge. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do it. So I procrastinated for about 3 months. And I don't really procrastinate that much. But that was a long time for me. And So I was so scared that no one would show up, which at the end of the day didn't really matter because no one's there and no one's going to see you fail, because really at the end of the day, you're not really afraid of failing, you're just afraid of other people seeing you fail. And that was kind of the realization to me. It's like, well, if no one's there, no one's going to see me fail. So I'm okay with that. The worst one was, what if 1 or 2 people were there? Then someone's going to see me fail. Then that's embarrassing. And so for a couple of months, I just was so scared of doing it. And I thought, why don't I just do it to one person? Wouldn't that be like, just do that and just make it deliberate, but not really, but not tell anyone about it. Because it felt embarrassing at the time, just doing a challenge to one person. Kind of like doing it if you were to do a masterclass to one person. Imagine that. Like it's not something you're like, oh, I did a masterclass to one person. I did a challenge to one person. Not something you gloat about. Lo and behold, it turned out to be the best thing. It turned out to be so many benefits. And even though I wasn't a complete beginner back then, but I realized that this had to be the way for every person getting started to make their first $5, $10, $15, $25,000 online. Because with the one-on-one challenge that I ran, the time was convenient. It means I didn't have to launch it. I didn't have to market it. I didn't have to worry about filling up. Should I do it on Monday, Tuesday, 8 a.m., 10 p.m.? Because you could book in all 5 calls anytime. It's convenient, it's flexible, and you've got a 100% show rate. It's a 100% show rate. The only reason why people don't attend your masterclasses or your events is because the time doesn't work. Or the reason why they attend late because they couldn't get there on time, or they leave early because they had another commitment. But with a challenge, a tiny challenge, one-on-one, every time slot we booked in worked. And so you got a 100% show rate. Yet alone, it removed all the imposter, all the comparison, but the best thing that came out of the conversions was so high because I got to understand all the fears, failures, frustrations, needs, wants, everything about them. And then I could formulate an offer to them based on exactly what they want. And you get to know them so well, and the reciprocity became so high. And then that was what launched the Tiny Challenge movement. And so I remember when I told Russell about it, it was a really funny conversation. Russell, we do this thing called Tiny Challenges. It's a one-on-one challenge. He was so confused. How does it scale? What is it? This doesn't it make sense? And I re-explained to him, like, this is so good. Like, it's the best way to get started. It's convenient. It's flexible. If you get 10 leads, you get 10 tiny challenges. You're not going to get 10% show rate. And then once he got it and it just penny dropped for him, he's like, you need to come speak on my podcast. And we did it for 45 minutes. At the end of it, he was hooked. And he's like, I think I'm going to run my own tiny challenge. And he ran 2 of them. He made 100 grand each from them. And he made $200,000 from a tiny challenge. And then after that, that's when he invited me to come and speak at Funnel Hacking Live. And then I was the opening speaker for day 1 in Las Vegas. And so essentially, that's what it is. And it allows you to get started so easily. And one of the biggest misconceptions with a tiny challenge is, and by the way, as I say this, I don't think anyone right now is doing a tiny masterclass. You know what I mean? Like, there's a marker for that. Imagine you spend 3-4 hours with someone and you don't have to worry about filling up a room. You don't have to worry about the time. It's like, well, what time do you want to do it? Now? Tomorrow? 8 a.m.? 10 p.m.? Like, it doesn't matter. There's no launch date. There's no crazy, weird, complicated funnel. There's nothing. You don't need email automation. Like, it's just easy. There's no tech involved. You don't even have to do it on Zoom if you don't want to. Literally, you can just literally ring them up and do it right now. And so when I shared it with Russell, he was so impressed by it. And he kind of said to me, so how does it actually work, like in a challenge? Like, can someone, like, you can't really hack it. Like, that's the problem. You can't hack it. Whereas you can sit in a masterclass or a webinar or a normal challenge and you can hack it. You can funnel hack, you can watch what they're doing. And it's like, yeah, Russell, you can't. The only way to learn how to do it is to either jump into the program or actually be my only tiny challenge participant. It's like, well, what if people sat in and watched? Like, he gave me the idea, can people sit in and watch you do it? And I was like, well, then it's not. And I thought, well, actually, you know what? Maybe they can. And what if we charge for it? It's like, yeah, like, you know, because if I was to do one and I sold some seats and people watch me coach that person one-on-one to build out the perfect webinar, I think someone would buy those seats. And I thought, yeah, I would buy those seats. I'd pay 10 grand for that. And that's how the idea of a shadow seat came about. Who's following this? Yeah. And then I said to Russell, all right, well, when are you going to do it? And he's like, well, when are you going to do it? I'm like, I'll race you. Who does it first? And it was a race between who did the first shadow seat. And so I did the first one only about 3 months ago, I believe. or 3-4 months ago. And so I did a one-on-one challenge. It was a paid challenge, because one-on-one challenge could be free or paid, kind of like a masterclass can be free or paid. And it was like to build out the perfect 5-day challenge, because I'd done over 70 at the point. And I said, who'd like to sit in and watch me coach? It was actually Sarah, the first one, who coached Sarah build out the perfect challenge. And we had 5 or 6 people say, I want to sit in and see you do that, because I can learn from what you're doing. Charge $500 a seat, and they paid for it. And then when I pitched my $25K offer to Sarah, it wasn't just pitching to Sarah, I was pitching to the 6 people in the room who never got coached, because it was a one-on-one call with a shadow seat. And then the extra 3 bought, so I saw 4 seats, like 4 25K offers from that one-on-one challenge. And you can do the exact same thing with a masterclass, which means you don't have to worry about facilitating to a room. You don't have to worry about making relevancy. You don't have to worry. It's just you coaching one-on-one with that person for 3-4 hours or over 3-4-5 days. And then you get so good at it that other people want to pay you to watch you do that, and they get the transformation, and then the offer is presented to everyone, and suddenly you can have a 6-figure payday. And then, is this useful, by the way? And it removes all the overwhelm, all the stress, everything from the marketing of it. And then later on, if you want to go big, you want to go large scale, you want to do actual proper campaigns, you can. But by doing this, you get to understand your ideal client better than they can. And that's the secret to marketing. That's when you understand the messaging, your I help statement, their pain points, their fears, their frustrations, everything about them. And it takes all the pressure away from you from actually having to present to a whole room. 0 skill set to start, and then you build your skills while doing it. I know, it's so good, right? It is so good. I actually did a tiny challenge again last week, and I did it to a bigger group this time. I thought, okay, I'll charge $97, and we sold like 105 seats to that, so that was 10 grand up front. And I presented a 100K offer to the person I was doing to, and she said yes. But to the rest of the room, I presented a 25K offer with a 5K downsell. And we're just still wrapping up the calls from that and applications. But at this point in time, it's 220K from just that finished on Friday. Again, shadow seeding, scaling one-on-one. Thank you. So this is the new way of how to scale one-on-one, whether you do it in a 3 or 4 hour masterclass or 3, 4, 5 day challenge. But we've discovered a way to scale one-on-one coaching through just having people sit in and shadow. Imagine Tony Robbins doing one-on-one coaching, 10 sessions or 5 sessions, and he said, who'd like to sit in and watch me coach this person fix their marriage or blow up their business, whatever. He said, like, I'd like to be a fly on the wall, and you'd pay for that. But he's not coaching you, but it's even more valuable because they're going through a deep transformation. So that's a part I want to give, but I want to also share with you the journey of, and by the way, Austin, are you keeping track of time? Sorry if I go over time. Just let me know if I've gone way over time. Thank you. Awesome. So I want to share with you the journey of like the process of how the 100K offer was even formed. And then at the end, if you've got any questions around like the shadow seeding or the one-on-one masterclass or how does a one-on-one thing work, more than happy to help you guys out. So maybe I'll share a quick story. Yeah, who's up for a story? Yeah? All right, I'll share a quick story. So it was not so long ago, about 6 years ago, and I was at this six-day personal development event. It was one of my first events, basically learning how to become a life coach. And I don't know, anyone here been to like a 5-6 day event before, just out of curiosity? They're long, right? They're long. And that, I want you to imagine me 6 or 7 years ago, 25 pounds lighter than what I am now. Because I had gone on this weird trend called vegan. I was a vegan for 2 years, and I couldn't sustain the calories, and so I was literally 25 pounds lighter than what I am now, which was, I was really, really skinny. And so I was at this 6-day event, and on day 5, I was mentally exhausted, I was emotionally drained. I'm an introvert by nature, and so like I recharge by just going back to my room, and so I was even so socially exhausted. More than that, energetically I was drained because that whole event, they didn't really serve much vegan food, so I wasn't eating much anyway. And so by day 5, I was gone. And I want you to picture this, right? Imagine a 5-day event in a hotel, not in my home city. I'm from Sydney. And I was in this city called the Gold Coast, which is another place in Australia. And at 4 o'clock on Friday, they said, okay, everyone, now give me your wallet, give me your phone, put it on a table, we're all going to collect it. And they collected everyone's wallets and phones. And it's 4 o'clock. And they said, this is your mission. We've got a task for you. Your task is to get to Gold Coast and back, which is around about 70, 80 miles. It's basically like Orange County to San Diego and back. It's about that distance there. But no phone, no wallet, no resources, nothing. You can't call your friends, you can't call any contacts, you can't do anything. And if you don't get back by midnight, which is 8 hours rather, so 4 to 8, then you'll get locked out of your hotel, you'll be homeless for the rest of the night. Legit. They wouldn't give you back your hotel keys, and you just have to find a way. It was basically an exercise of how resourceful can you be. And they said, well, only about 40% of people complete this. I thought, whoa. And so the first thing that came, and then they said, and your time starts now. They gave us 2 minutes on the pre-frame, and they said it starts now. And obviously, you know, you run out of the room, and what's the first thing that comes into your mouth? A curse word that you should never say. They're like, ah! So, and I was really freaking out. I was like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? The only thing they gave us was a bottle of water and $5. And that's all we had. We couldn't use anything else, and we had to make it back. And they said, just go. And so everybody's running out of the event room and frantically running around, not knowing what to do. And the first thing I thought, I was like, I need money. I'll probably need some money to catch some sort of public transport to get up there and back, because there's no way you can walk there. There's no way you can ride a bike there. There was not enough time. In fact, if you rode a bike there, it'll take you 6 hours there and 6 hours back. That's 12 hours. You'll run out of time. So you had to have some sort of public transport or some vehicle or something, but it means you needed money. And we only had $5. And I thought, well, how am I going to get money? And what I'm going to do when I get money, I'll probably catch a train or a bus or something like that. And I'm thinking probably $20 would be enough for me to buy a train ticket to get up there and back in time. And so the only thing I could think about on how to get $20 was to go wash dishes. And so I'm like running around, and to give you context, actually it's funny. Anyone heard of the Gold Coast before, just out of curiosity? Oh yeah, whoa, okay, that's cool. The Gold Coast is like the 100 times crappier version of Vegas. It's just, it really is. They call it like Bris Vegas. It's just not like Vegas at all, but that's the best we got in Australia. It's kind of got a casino and all that kind of stuff, got lights and stuff, but it's nowhere like Vegas. So imagine you're running around in Vegas trying to find a job and to get an extra $20. Like I mean, I guess you could do it in Vegas. There's a lot of people doing some weird things on the street, you know what I mean? But it's not like that in Australia. And so I'm thinking, okay, the only way for me to get a job is to maybe go into like a restaurant and try to find some dishwashing work or something that would pay cash. And so I thought, yeah, that's a great idea. So I walked in one restaurant, they said no. Walked in another cafe, they said no. Walked in another cafe, they said no. Another restaurant, no. No, 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 no. I thought, well, if it's not working, I've got to either keep on trying or try a different approach. And so I tried a different approach. I thought, okay, maybe I would just go to a car wash, because surely they'll hire me at a car wash and pay me $15 cash. And so I didn't know where the car wash was, so I asked this older couple, and I said, oh, excuse me, like, sir, I'm looking for a car wash because I'm in this situation, I need $15 cash, I want to earn some money. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay, sure, no problems. And so they point me to the car wash, and they said, oh, where's that? And it's like, that's about 10 minutes drive away. And I said, oh, I don't have a car. And they're like, why do you want to go to a car wash? And I'm like, oh yeah, well this is the thing, I don't have a wallet, da da da. And then they knew, wow, you're at a weird seminar. But they felt for me, and then the old lady walked me in and said, actually, I know the owner of this cafe here that we're eating at. And they introduced me, told them the story, said, this young man, he needs a little job, can you help him out, wash dishes, whatever it is. And the manager said, okay, sure. And so he gave me a job, and I was washing dishes at the back there. And I don't know if you guys have ever washed dishes at a restaurant before. Wow. Yeah. Well, my parents always said, eat all the food off your plate, but that was for different reasons, because they came from Vietnam, poverty, all that kind of stuff. But now I always eat the food off my plates because I don't want anyone else to clean it. It's so dirty. And so I'm back there, and it's a mess, but I thought I'm just going to have fun. After about half an hour, the manager just felt sorry for me, and he's just laughing with me. He said, hey, Richmond, here's the $15. Go on your way. He gave me the $15, and now I had $20. And at this point, it's a little bit after 5 o'clock. I got $20. I need to find some public transport, and I don't know this area. And so I see some tram lines. I find the tram lines, and I get to the tram line, and I'm walking north, because all I know is that Brisbane is north. So if I just keep on going north, I'm going to be okay. And I find the tram lines, and I see it, and I go, okay, I need to go north, but they don't go all the way north to Brisbane. Then I go north to this hospital, and then I need to catch a train to go to Brisbane and then go back. And so I thought, well, I'll just start there. Now, I get to the tram stop, and I'm trying to figure out how to pay for it, but it takes these electronic cards, you know, these tap and goes kind of thing, and there's no cash outlet. And I'm just trying to figure it out. And the tram's coming in 2 minutes' time, and if I don't figure it out, then I have to wait half an hour for the next one, and I don't have time. And so I couldn't figure it out, and there's this guy there, and I said, hey man, like, do you know how I pay by cash to get my train ticket or tram ticket? And he's like, no, I've been here for like 6 years, and I've never seen anyone try to pay cash, and also I've never seen any tram guards, so just get on. And now I'm thinking, what do I do? Because I'm a good boy. I was raised as a good boy. Don't break the rules. Don't talk back to your parents. Like that kind of stuff. And you know, to me, that was like jailbreak. It was like jailbreak. But I didn't have the time. I did not have the time. I could either wait half an hour for the next one to come and try to figure it out, which maybe I could have done, but it was half an hour that I didn't have the luxury of having, and so I took the risk. I thought, okay, I'm just going to get on, and I got on. And I sat down, and I thought, what's going on? And this is a true story. I kid you not. As you sit down, I don't know if you guys have this in public transport here, but these 3 tram guys, they walk through in the grey uniform, and they're checking everybody's tickets. True story, true story. And now I'm like, what do I do? What do I say? And before I could even think of a story, the only thing I could think of was just tell the truth. And I told the truth. I said, I don't have any ID on me. I'm at this seminar. They took our ID. They took our wallets. They took our phones. They took I'm so sorry. And they took out $20 and I said, look, I want to pay. Like, I didn't want to steal this ticket. I want to pay. And he looked at me and said, we're not ticket dispensers. We can't take your money. It doesn't work like that. Like, they don't sell tickets. Like, yeah, I had to pay at the station. And he looked at me and he felt my sincerity and he just said, look, I believe you. You make sure you get off at the hospital station you're telling me you're getting off at, and go on your way. I thought, whoa, wow. Got off. So I got off at the station to stop, and now I have to catch a train up. And so I got $20 in my hand as well. And so I'm trying to find like the train stop, and there was no train stop around there, but there's a bus stop. And I'm just asking some locals, hey, excuse me, how do I get to Brisbane from here? It's like, oh, that's easy. You've got to catch this bus. This bus goes to the train station. That train station will take you all the way up to Brisbane. I'm like, okay, cool. So I wait for the bus. I get on the bus, and I go to the bus driver. I'd like a return ticket to Brisbane, thanks. And he said, great, that's $34. And then I said, okay. Well, how much is a single? $17. I'll take the single then, thinking I'll just figure it out because I found $15 now, I could do it again. And so, should be pretty simple. Get there, get a job, do all that kind of stuff. And so I paid the $20, got $3 in return, now got $3, and now I'm on my one-way ticket to Brisbane. And it's about an hour and a half or an hour 20 ride up to Brisbane on the train. It's a pretty long distance. And so I get to Brisbane by around about just before 8 o'clock, about 7:50. And as soon as I got out, I need to start to plan and reverse engineer my exit going back home. And I got out and asked the train guy, hey, excuse me, I need to get back to Mermaid Waters, this tram stop, by 11:30 at the latest, because I need to get back to my hotel by midnight. What train do I need to catch to be able to get back in time and reverse engineer all this? And he said, you got to catch the 9:10 train back to make it back by 11:30, so you have time to get back to your hotel. I thought, great. So I had about an hour 20. And the first thing I said to him, hey, well, would you happen to have a job that I could do for the next hour 20 to earn an extra how much is it? I said, how much is the ticket? He said, it's $17. I said, great. I was $14 short. So I said, is there anything I can do here to make an extra $14? Anything? And he said, no, I can't give you a job. It doesn't work that way. You need a tax file number. You need all this kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. I'll be back. So he looked at me really weird, thinking, this guy's crazy. He's not going to come back in an hour, $20 or $14. There's no way. And so I run on the streets, and this is Friday, and every restaurant was full, every pub was full, everything was busy. And I'm trying to get my way into speaking to the management at every single place. And some places would make me wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes. One person sat me down and made me wait over 10 minutes. I'm thinking, I don't have time to afford. And not only did they make me wait, when they got there, they said, I'm sorry, we can't give you work. And I'm getting no after no, after no, after no, after no, and time's ticking. And it's 8:45 now, I've got 25 minutes left, and time is ticking fast. And I said, I just have to keep on going. And I get a no, 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 and now it's almost 9 o'clock. And it gets to the point where you realize, okay, I don't have enough time anymore. But you have to keep on going. And I thought, I'll just try one more place. I said, hey, look, this is my situation. Can I please get some work? And I'm basically almost begging them. And they said, look, I'm sorry, we can't. But they felt so bad for me, they put their hand in the tip jar and they gave me $4. And that's the most they could give me. And now I've got 3 plus 4, 7. And I don't have enough. But I walk back to the train station and I see the guy again. He's like, hey, you remember me? He's like, yeah, I remember you. Yeah. And I said, hey, I don't have $14. And I really, really need to get on this train. If I don't, I'm going to be homeless for the whole night. Is there anything you can do for me? Is there like, can you give me a child ticket? Can you give me a pension ticket? Can you give me a senior ticket? Like, is there anything you can do for me? And he looked at me and he said, look, just give me the $7. And he printed me out a full price ticket. And he said, look, just go. The power of just asking. Yeah. And now I've got my ticket. I'm on the train and I'm on my way home. And I thought to myself, I can't believe I just did this. Couldn't believe it. I was going to make it home back in time by midnight. And at this point, I was exhausted. I hadn't eaten anything. This is a true story. I kid you not. Like, yeah, I was emotionally tired, mentally drained from the 5-day event. I was running around for 5 hours straight. And I was 25 pounds lighter than what I am now. And I thought I'd just close my eyes for a little bit because it's an hour 20 on the train. Yeah, yeah. Not kidding. The stop I was meant to get off at, I fell asleep and I missed the stop. And you know, they've got the progress bar on the train, and it's really funny when you see, oh yeah, I'm always 2 stops away, but it went the other way. The progress bar went the other way, and I'm like, oh, and when I woke up, I was 2 stops ahead, and I'm panicking, and now I'm panicking, I'm pissed, I'm frustrated because I thought, how could I let this do this to myself? Like, how could I fail at this point in time? And now I'm scared. I'm scared because it's late at night, I ran out and I don't know what to do. And I get off at the stop that's 2 stops ahead and it's dark and it's 11 o'clock now. And I'm like, where do I go? I run to the other side of the platform to see which train comes back. That's half an hour, which I did not have time for that. I was not going to make it if I caught that one. So I'm running around the train station at night, not knowing what to do. And I see this random guy and he's wearing this hoodie jacket and he looks so suspicious, but I don't know, like, I need to ask for help. I really do. And so I just went up to him and said, excuse me, sir, like, do you know how I get back to Mermaid Water Station from here? And he's like, oh, that's okay, sir. He pulls down his hoodie. He turns out to be the nicest guy ever. And he said, I'm actually going there. Just follow me. And so no, he turned out to be a really cool guy. So I did follow him. He took me to his bus stop. And he turns out to be like just the most genuine person. And I'm telling him my story. And we sit on the bus together. But I don't want to be rude because every 5 minutes, I'm just checking my watch. Just checking. And at some point, it was around about 11:40 at that point, and I thought, why am I even checking my time anymore? There's no point. I had to really just let go of control, and now it's just up to grace or God or karma or whatever you want to believe. I just had to surrender because I had done all I could. And then the bus got to that stop, the tram got to the place I wanted to go, and now it's 11:58, and I had to, 2 minutes ago, to run around about 300 meters, which I don't know how many feet that is, but about 300 meters. And now I'm running for my life. I'm running. And I get there with about 30 seconds to go. And I made it. Yeah, all right, yeah, give it up. And you couldn't have made that story up. It was just crazy how that happened. But I share that because that lesson was what carried on to the 100K offer that I want to share with you, is that the world parts way for those that are committed. The moment you commit, the world will part ways for you, but you have to commit first. And when I always remember, I was in the Uber with Eileen only a couple of months ago, and it was funny because at Russell Brunson Mastermind, we kind of get up on stage and share what's the biggest constraint we have in our business right now. And my one was something around masterclasses, how to fill it up, how to get more people to show up. And I remember catching an Uber with Eileen that day to that event, and she's telling me about her 250K offers. At the point in time, I only had a 25K offer, which is pretty good, but she's talking about 250K, 10 times more. I'm scratching my head. How is that even possible? How do people pay? How do you even charge? I couldn't fathom it. And then it just kind of sat with me. I just didn't think anything more. And then I got up on stage at Russell Brunson's event, and then I explained to my biggest problem. And then Myron says, Richmond, what's your business model like? And I drew him out my essential model. I got a 1K, 5K, 25K, and he's like, where's your 100K? And I'm like, 100K? That's not what I came here for. I need to learn how to fill up my webinar. That's it. And he's like, no. You need 100K. I'm like, no, I don't need 100K. I don't want 100K. Stop it. And you know when you get that second sign? That was from Myron. That night I'm thinking, why do they try to coach me? And it's like, Richmond, don't you believe you're good enough? I'm like, no, I don't. What is this? I just had all these thoughts in my mind, and I kind of let it go and let it simmer. And that night we went out to dinner, and turns out Russell was there, and I was sitting next to Russell and Colette, and Myron sits on opposite the table, and I'm like, here we go. Next minute, they're coaching me on why don't I have a 100K offer? And I could feel their belief in me. How many of you just need someone to believe in you first? Yeah, 100%. And after that intervention, I'm like, okay, I just need to commit first, and I know something will happen, and I'll figure out what the offer looks like, but I just need to commit to doing it first. And so I pulled out my phone, and I messaged Kaylee over there. I said, Kaylee, I have a special offer for you. And she's like, what is it? It's like, I'll tell you tomorrow. It's like, no, tell me now. Okay, I'll tell you now. I got a 100K offer. I had no idea what the 100K offer was. This is right in front of Myron. I'm doing it right in front of Myron. And she's like, and I asked her, do you trust me? She said, yes, cool. I need 10K down now, and I'll tell you more about what the offer is tomorrow. And I had no idea what the offer was. No idea. And then she put it down, done, celebrated, and that was the beginning of the first 100K offer. And now I know exactly what that offer is. And part of it was, now she's here because part of that, but now we're spending so much time together on this whole week together, and I'll be able to personally help her, both her and Sarah, with their business. And the clarity came only because I committed to that offer first. It's crazy what you can create once you commit. A lack of creativeness always is a result of a lack of commitment, period. Always. And so when you commit first, creativeness happens, resourcefulness happens, these things happen. You can't think of those things until you commit first. And so that story of me going to the Gold Coast and back and making within 1 minute was the biggest lesson I learned, is when you commit first, the world will part ways for you. And that's how you win in life. So that being said, how am I going with time, Austin? Am I going good? Good, cool. All right, so if we've got some time, I'm happy to open for some questions or anything you may have, or help you get unstuck. But that was the journey for me, and I just want to iterate, I can't thank Eileen enough for starting that journey only a couple of months ago, and believing in me, and believing that I had something in me, and 100K offered me, and then became Mari, and then Russell believing it. And so I think when we're around people who see bigger things in us than we can see in ourselves, then we're in the right room. And sometimes we can feel like an imposter, like, oh my gosh, do I even deserve to be here? Am I good enough to be here? But that's what you should be feeling. That's what you should be feeling every single day, and that's when you know you're in the right room. So that being said, thank you so much, and I appreciate you all. Yeah. Cool. I'm happy to take questions or anything. How would you like, Eileen? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Trich. Thanks, such great stories. I love that. Commit first, creativity will come. My words were, the world will part for you. So my question is, when you're doing the one-to-one masterclass, how much engagement are you getting?
A lot. Here's a big misconception. This is what Russell asked me too. It's like, Richmond, what about time wasters? What about time wasters? Like, tire kickers, people are like, oh my gosh, they're coming to waste your time. And you just gave them 3 or 4 hours or 5 sessions. Like, whoa. And and I thought that too. But here's one of the misconceptions, and it's actually the opposite. So if everyone just pulls out their phone for a second, right? I want you to check something on your phone. Like on my phone, I've got the first page of apps. I've got 4 by 5, so 20 apps, and I've got 20 apps, and that's all I got. I can scroll twice. That's it. I wonder how many times can you scroll in your phone? How many? You only got simple. That's awesome. Twice. This is a cool room. I wouldn't imagine. Like sometimes I ask some rooms, and they say I got 13 pages. Distraction. 10 years ago, there's no such thing as shiny object syndrome. Right? No, what are you talking about? But now there is, because every app on your phone is designed for one thing, is to get your attention, so to get your data, because data is the new oil. Yep. And so every app on your phone is fighting for your attention. Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, TikTok, Messenger, email, Spotify, Audible, Voxer, YouTube, ChatGPT, everything. And so we live in a world where it's so hard to get someone's attention now. It's harder than ever before, and this is just your phone, yet alone Netflix, spouse, kids, business, everything. It's just really, really hard to have someone's attention right now. And that's a really valuable commodity. And so if you come across a tire kicker or a time waster, no one's going to give you 3-4 hours of one-on-one attention if they didn't have a problem they want solved now. It's crazy, whether it's in a masterclass or a tiny challenge. And so they come pre-qualified. If they were not really up for it, like they're giving away their time to you and their attention, which I believe is more valuable than their money, when they could, if they weren't really serious, they'll just do a group thing and have the camera off on Zoom, or attend half and watch team replay. That's kind of what they do. But on this model and this framework, you will naturally attract the highest qualified person in front of you because they're giving you all their attention. And there's no way if you do that on Zoom that they're going to have the camera off. That would be just extremely rude. But it just wouldn't happen because they're there, but it's like, wow, I'm so busy, everything's trying to get my attention, but my next 3 hours is just for you. And then your job is to present Eileen's framework and just crush it. And the worst thing that can happen is that you get data that you could never ever get before. Yeah. The best thing that could happen is you may come in there with thinking, oh my gosh. So the tiny challenge I did last week, like just last 5 days, I thought, so the participant I chose, I thought, yeah, at the end of it, I'll probably present to her a 25K offer. I didn't really know what I was going to present to be honest. I just thought after day 1 and 2, I'll elicit what she needs, I'll find out what she wants, I'll hear some of her frustrations, and then I'll probably think of some 25K offer. After those first 2 days, which worked out to be about 90 minutes total, I realized, whoa, I actually can help more of what she needs now, and that's when I decided, I'm not going to even offer a 25, I'm going to do a 100K offer. And so you may get some clients, and after an hour just learning about them, you're like, this person, you know what, let's just do this. And then you present a super high ticket offer, and that's the upside. It's not restricted to just one thing that you're thinking because it's so customized and tailor-made. And you do that 10 times over, then you see some patterns, you see some common themes, and then suddenly you can launch it on a sales page, launch it on an actual group setting, and launch it as a big offer to a front of one-to-many people. And that's when it can scale much better because now you've got more than just one validation, but you've got multiple points of validation. Yeah, so that's how it kind of works. I don't know if that answered your question.
It was about engagement with them?
Yep.
Like, I mean,
yeah.
you
So
talk back.
you do. It's a conversation. It's not like I'm speaking one to a group, and it's really like a dialogue, and asking more questions rather than presenting. And so it takes away the skill set of even needing to present. Yeah, because if you when you're obviously at some point you want to be a great presenter, but if you're starting out and you don't have many clients, then you need those skill sets. So keep it more like a dialogue. Ask questions. nod like what you're doing now, and tell me more. Tell me more. What else? What else? Tell me more. What else? Oh, great. Cool. Okay, we're going to do this. And so you may teach them a framework on, for example, I might teach them on niching. I'm like, okay, today we're going to talk about your niche. I'll go, niche is not a tattoo. Okay, great. Tell me more about your history, and then you kind of work it out with them. And then at the end of it, I might ask a question of, okay, so any limiting beliefs around this niche? Oh, they can't pay, they don't have the money. Cool. Then you break that down and you talk about that with them. So it's so personalized, whereas you would never get an opportunity to do that in a group setting. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Azure.
Yep.
Thank you so much for this.
You're welcome.
Very cool. I loved, I didn't have the luxury of time. And at the same time, you're telling us to honor people's time. And time it's money. So my question is a little logistical to build off of Elizabeth's. You've mentioned that you had someone you're doing the one-on-one time with, but then you were selling seats, the shadow seats, love that. Did the person who was doing the one-on-one pay you for the challenge, did they pay you at all? Or how were you mentioned they were pre-qualified. How were you pre-qualifying them, and or were they already clients of yours? Could you talk about that a little bit?
They were already clients. So I did it for the shadow seating strategy. I already picked someone that I knew that was going to be like a dream to coach. You know what I mean? But otherwise, if you're doing shadow setting, I wouldn't pick, because it could be dangerous. You pick the wrong person, then it's like, it just became a nightmare. So I picked people who already love me, and I'm sure you guys will have that in your world. So for shadow setting, it's a bit more of a, start with a free kind of, one-on-one kind of thing, and then do enough of those, and then eventually you'll transcend to shadow setting and do it to people who it's going to be a great experience for both parties. And yes, I have charged and I haven't charged as well. When I say I charge $5,000, and the one I didn't charge for, but she's already paid me $25,000. So she's already an existing client, high ticket client, and so more of a demonstrate. And the trade-off for that, for me not charging her that $5,000, and I said to her, because I want to use this in an evergreen training, because that's what I want to sell. And so I won't charge you the $5,000, but I want your full permission for me to use this evergreen. And now what we just did last week, will be evergreen. If people are like, you want to see Richmond do a tiny challenge, boom, here, watch it on evergreen. And I present the offer, and same thing. Yeah.
With the shadow seating, how does that work logistically? Do you have them up on Zoom, but their cameras are off, or do you have
their cameras are on, but I basically, this is how I pre-frame it. So it's just me and the other person in Zoom. We're both spotlighted, and that's just us. I have the other people. I might open up saying, hey, welcome today. Today I'm going to be coaching Darlene, and she's graciously given up her time for us, and please hold space for her. She may have some vulnerable moments, we may have some tears, may dig deep, all that kind of stuff. Everything is mentioned here, is kept here, private, in case she wants to mention anything that's, private and confidential. And then I say to Darlene, let's pretend no one's here, and I'm going to pretend no one's here, and I don't even talk to the room. After that, I'll just go, ring, 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 hey, Darlene, and boom, we're in, and she doesn't talk to the room, she just looks to me. We end the call, I assign some homework, done, and then now I go back to the room, and I allow for some questions. And that's where they get the value from paying.
So your client knows that they're being
viewed. They agree to it beforehand.
Wow.
That's cool. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It's like a win-win, because you present to them an irresistible offer to get coached by you one-on-one, and it's like, but the trade-off is there's shadow seats. And then maybe the other trade-off is I'm going to use it as an evergreen training, and they're like, okay, done. It's a win-win-win situation.
Hi. If you're just starting out, how do you spread the word about this tiny challenges?
Yeah, or tiny masterclass, or
Tiny masterclass.
yeah, cool. You don't need much of a following. If you got one like on that, you got one. You know what I'm saying? It's because it's 100% show rate. So I would do a call to action post. On Facebook, I don't know what you guys call it, but we call it a postcard, where you can write 100 characters and it goes on that big. You can do that, whatever that's called. You do like, hey, I'm looking to work with someone one-on-one for 3 hours or 4 hours or 5 days or whatever it is to help them solve this problem, and then taking one person, right? And that's it. And it's a call to action post, and people put up their hand for it. Or you can do a reel, 90-second reel. Those two platforms right now are working best for call to action posts. So the posting on Facebook or a 90-second reel. And it's a direct call to action. State what they're going to get out of it, what the biggest pain point is, and then I guess some scarcity and urgency because it's legit. You can only take on this one person a week or 2 people a week or something like that.
And is that paid?
No,
It's a free
no, exactly. Yeah, free. That's correct, yeah. I wouldn't do paid unless it's a warm list. Yeah, I wouldn't do paid because then you got to, take them through a sales funnel and all that kind of stuff.
I've got
Oh, you got it, yeah.
Man, thank you for being here. I know that sounds like the nice thing to say, but genuinely, thank you for being here.
Welcome.
Since you discovered this tiny challenge, it sounds like it's really beneficial for when you haven't done one before and there's a lot of fear behind it. Is there certain circumstances where you would pick doing this over a regular challenge? Is there any cons that are missing in the tiny challenge?
Yeah.
You can't get out?
I really believe the future of marketing is demonstration of competency. Actual demonstration of competency, not demonstration of marketing and sales skill set, because everybody here is well versed on, oh my gosh, it's just a sales pitch. But when you can demonstrate competency through a tiny masterclass or tiny challenge and sell shadow seats, people see your competency and they buy that. They're like, whoa, I want that kind of coaching for me. Because there's no, you know what I mean? There's no of that salesy kind of, nothing wrong with sales. I love selling, I love marketing. But I do believe there's this pocket here where you can sell just as well or even better by just demonstrating competency through selling shadow seating to what you're actually doing. And if you've done enough of those one-on-ones, 100, 200, whoa, you're competent. And you sell that any day of the week.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So a new coach who is just starting off, they decide to do a free masterclass to a one-on-one person individually. Going into this, would you recommend that this coach pre-frames by asking the prospect, hey, we're going to spend this much time together. If everything made sense, would you be open and willing to invest with me? Or is that not even something you're putting in the prospect?
No, there is qualifying factors. So first things first, know that no one gives out 3 hours at a time if they weren't committed. Think about it I thought about even if someone said, hey, if I went to the gym, hey, Richmond, I'm giving out a 3-hour, CrossFit class. And it's free. If I opted in for a 3-hour CrossFit class, I want some change in my life. So understand, that's, you know what I'm saying? So already that's committed, they're committed. However, yes, you do use that pre-frame, and I use that pre-frame in the opening 5 minutes.
Of the
yeah.
of the mini challenge
Yeah,
slash
both.
mini masterclass, or before even booking it?
No, not before, not on the call. So there's a few hurdles they have to go through before they get on the call, but I wouldn't use that before that. So a few hurdles such as how committed are you? 10 out of 10. They have to score 10, and we do 3 different types of commitment. Number one, and they choose. Number one, you can do a donation to charity. It's hey, look, just before we get started, would you be willing to donate $20 to charity or $50 to charity of your choice, not to me, of your choice, and because when you give, you open yourself up to receiving, and I'd like for you to be open to receiving over the next 3 hours or over the next thing. So that's the frame. That works really well. Or you can have them write a handwritten letter, I, John, or I, Mary, commit to da-da-da-da-da, and you write the script, and then they write it, and they take a picture, they send it to you, so that's another one that you can do. Or it can be a fully refundable deposit of $100, $50. They get it back at the end of 3 hours or the 5 days. But lo and behold, that goes towards the deposit of your program.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excuse me, do you mention the program?
No, not before they get on. Not before. So we only go through those hurdles to pre-qualify them with the deposit, the letter, or the refundable. And if they do all those things and they're giving up 3 hours, they're committed. And then we're opening 5 minutes of that call, say, by the way, if you're loving this and you don't want the momentum to stop, I have an offer for you, and would it be okay if I present it to its end? And you go through that kind of conversation. Yeah, I know it's 50-50. Some people don't like to tell people they're about to sell them. Some people do. I don't know. I know Myron likes to tell you that he's going to sell you. Russell doesn't tell you. So, but they both sell really well. So either. It depends on your personality.
And you reveal the price also in the first 5 minutes?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah. I do, but again, different, just depends on the personality. Depends on the personality, yeah. I don't think there's any right and wrong. It's just more of, not so much the right and wrong, it's more of your confidence in delivering it. That's the more important part. So if you're not confident pre-framing, then that's okay, you don't need to do it. But if you are, then, so you can do it.
Question. Oh, okay. I have the mic, so. I was just curious about, I'm just thinking through like the lens of a lot of my clients, like they're healers and they work in the mindset space or, like really deep stuff, trauma work. How are you, and I know you and I are both business coaches, so it's a little different, but for maybe one of your clients that's in that space, like, does that get a little weird? Like, do you know what I mean? Like having somebody coaching somebody for that amount of time about like deep trauma. Like I'm just thinking about this through like, if I were to suggest something like this to my clients. Am I making sense?
With the shadow set, you mean? Or?
Yeah, with the shadow seat. Like
right.
when you're dealing with like not a business coaching offer.
Yeah. You'd be surprised. So the person I took through the Tiny Challenge this week, she's a widow coach. So she lost her husband.
Okay.
And there's some, she's...
Yeah.
And I learned a lot. Like one of the biggest fears is finding love again because that person could die before them again, And it's like, I thought, wow, I never thought about that, but it makes sense. Like, and they're so hesitant to find love again because they cannot live with another loss of their partner dying before them again, And she cried on call number 1. She was in tears and stuff, but she was open and she was ready to. Maybe she was at the stage where she was comfortable, or maybe, yeah. So I think if you, like that's when I open up the call, I make sure that everyone holds a really safe space for them and this is all confidential and, people can feel the energy in the room. So it's our role to create that space, yeah. But if they don't want to, then that's okay too, at least. I don't think everyone's going to say yes to it, but you'll be surprised on more people will be willing to do that. And I think it's more healing for them too, to have people know that they're not alone, yeah.
Thank you so much for this. This is awesome. So I'm thinking about corporate offers, and specifically, sometimes the 4-hour masterclass, it's a lot of time for an executive to take out from their day. So when we were mentioning earlier about breaking it up into multiple events, is it consecutively, like Monday through Friday, when we're talking about a masterclass?
Yeah.
So how do you set that up?
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Like, because 4 hours is a big chunk of time. It is for some people, hey. And so I suppose if that's the case, you could do 2 hours. The closer you finish it, the higher the conversion. And so like our students who stretch like a 5-day challenge, because Tiny Challenge is so flexible, that's the best thing about it. It's not, it has to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, same time every day, because it's a tiny challenge. It's one-on-one, like you can do it anytime. And some people take 2 weeks to complete the 5 calls. And there's a correlation between how quickly you complete that process to making the sale at the end. So the quicker the better. Yeah. 2 in the morning, 2 in the night. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Thank you so much for this. It's amazing. I'm Dr. Tubi, by the way. My question is, how does this differ from a VIP day? Like because I don't see a lot of bits or anything coming
if you're doing that, then I would charge for it. So there's a free like Tiny Challenge, and then there's a paid. So the paid is more if you're wanting to, because the free is more about front end, bring people into your pipeline, and it's more about getting started. You don't have a big list. It's like overwhelming. It's like, now I have to launch it, now I have to fill up a room. It's stressful. It's really stressful when you're trying to get 100 people in a room or even 50 people in a room, but this just removes all the overwhelm. And once you've done 5, 10, 15 of these and you build the confidence, then you can do either group or you can start doing high ticket, tiny.
So I guess what I mean is if I do a coach, like I pick someone and I coach them individually, and I want to pitch them my VIP day where we go further and deeper, what is the difference of what I'm doing with them in that Tiny Challenge? Where does bits come into this, or like are we strictly just giving them all we got for 4 to 5 hours or days? And then how do we differentiate that from what we're going to sell them? Yeah,
that's a good question. So when you notice, like, where are they on their, I guess, journey? You know what I mean? Like, if what would be an example of a niche or an avatar? What their problem would be? Yeah, exactly. So if the business owner is like that beginner level, you it really depends on their mindset, really. I mean, I don't really want to pigeonhole like just beginners and they're not, you will never pitch a 100K offer to a beginner. You could, and it works really well. It just depends on where their mindset is at. And so you could very much well teach very similar things, but if you find and you start to realize, wow, this person's a high-level person, they're ready to go all in and do whatever it takes, then I would pitch a 100K offer. Very much like when I did it to Darlene, the person I just pitched it to. I didn't think to pitch a 100K offer, but after the 2 sessions, we're like, she's ready for it. And so I just did it, so, and that's what you'll figure out. So it may not be too much different. I know it sounds funny, but the funny thing is, you can tell the same story to a room that hasn't paid you any money, and it'll be less impactful to a room who has paid you money. The same story. It's just a funny thing about, when you pay attention and, yeah. Anyone here been to a Tony Robbins event? Who's going Funnel Hacking Live, actually? Yeah. If you've seen Tony Robbins before, you can go on YouTube and watch pretty much every story he's going to tell you on day 4 of Funnel Hacking Live. But now you're in the room, it just feels different. But it's the same story. It's exactly the same. And it's just so impactful. Oh, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's thank and express our appreciation to Richmond D. Come on, make some noise. Let's go. That was amazing.